factions, and the future are what we will know in today's story. Let's get started. Namvolam, a place called Thapvansun, contains hundreds of mountain peaks spread across the continent and is considered a forbidden area and is also the home of Black Taoism in ancient times. Deep in the forest, far from the demonic cult's territory, a young man is running for his life as a martial artist today was in a fierce competition between the two forces, good and evil. Suddenly, because it was too dark, he tripped over a few vines. I lost my momentum and cried out, my whole body facing down a not very long slope. I was just not in good shape, so I rolled. His hair was torn down, his clothes were torn, and his face was covered in bruises that showed he had been in a fight. There are already a few masked guys waiting here already. We've been waiting for you for too long. Thien Duck, those wearing masks. The masks all unsheathed their swords. Their eyes were filled with aura. Anyway, I give up on invading this place. What is your reason for wanting to take my life, whether you have martial arts or not? It's all unrelated to Thiencom too. You don't know anything. That's why everything is just according to the Watchman's regulations. So obediently surrender your life to a person with the blood of a cowardly citizen if you dare to dishonor the noble bloodline of the patriarch. Naman becomes extremely angry at the thing he hates the most. Insulting words to his mother. He was going to die anyway. So Thien Pham wanted to fight until his last breath and pulled out a dagger from his body. Have you already learned the Guardian's martial arts? Sadly, Thien Pham is not like that. If you really learned well, now that skill will be very useful. The masked men seemed very excited and said that it was better to kill someone who refused to give up fighting than to kill another person. The lowly guy begged for his life, so all four of them jumped in and bullied a child. Thien Pham kept making noise. Everyone cried out weakly. The guy from afar took advantage of the moment the male lead wasn't paying attention. He used a hidden sword to hit his wrist, dropping the dagger to the ground. He was in pain and glared at the cruel man next. He peeled off his neck and raised it high. Pham's face turned red and his eyes showed that he was not at all submissive. From behind he still defended. Another knife. Another masked man shouted a warning to watch out for the knife, so immediately on duty, he continued stabbing straight at the cruel man's little marquee. All of his accomplices were looking very bewildered, and Thien's whole body was like that. Pham was liberated. He showed a very smug smile because he had defeated him. There was no way a kid wouldn't. If you have martial arts and can kill a member of the demon sect, you can only use the most dangerous moves in this situation. But if this kid is good at martial arts, that's really cool. He thought about it annoyingly. Then he also picked up his sword and rushed straight towards his opponent. He kicked Thien Pham to the ground, and I will give him a kick. As soon as you tasted the pain, you also stabbed him in the stomach with a knife. The sharp scream echoed throughout the whole place. The forest had never felt such pain in his life. The masked man continued to press hard on the wound even though that was the case. He felt that even if he killed one of them, he would not regret the cruel person continuing to step on him, strengthened the wound, and the ground is drenched in blood. Killing is too simple. Maybe they just want to trample him to death. Well, the leader didn't seem to like what happened, but he couldn't stop his accomplices because that action was revenge. Thinking about this, a bright light glare appeared from the sky. When that light disappeared, the eyes of the masked men became surprised. A bright man, the other guy, then showed the masked channel and killed him right away. The rest of them were stunned and couldn't understand. What's the matter? Because I lost so much blood. I just lay still and didn't move. I had the same thoughts as you, because they didn't know what the light was. A stranger from somewhere found the leader and sensed it. He immediately reminded his juniors to pay attention to the back. There were many strange lights surrounding that body. Still speechless because it looked so strange, a boy dressed differently from that time appeared. This is the first time they saw this kind of outfit, and then this guy started acting strangely because he was so scared that one guy wore a mask. He pulled out his sword to rush towards it, so he ran as fast as he could to kill the stranger. It didn't seem like he showed any fear. The same light as before appeared again in the blink of an eye. His entire body turned into a puddle of the leader's blood. His eyes widened in surprise. He didn't understand what kind of martial art this was. That person's figure continued to gradually disappear. He thought the magical feat of a certain sect, but upon closer inspection, I can't confirm it because it feels like the whole person is transparent. When the country thought about this, the junior was finally defeated. What the hell is that light? Could that be power? The strength of an expert reaching the highest level. He still asserted that if not like that, how could he melt a person? Immediately realized that it was very possible that that kid had the anonymous master help that bastard Thien Pham, who had lost so much. There was a lot of blood, so it would die soon. Knowing that his mission was over, he deliberately didn't stay any longer and ran away. Immediately, he had to fly up very far away to escape, although he had just tried to send a signal for help, but maybe he didn't make it in time. In the end, he died like everyone else. Before, I only thought about this. Pham secretly rejoiced in his heart. It was wonderful, but because he lost so much blood, his consciousness gradually lost light. His eyes remained like that. Then he became dull and fainted. After a while, suddenly there were many strange voices nearby. He must pay attention to the animations that are making Thien Pham feel very confused in his head, thinking, "Am I dead?" Another sound rang out. The stranger looked at his wrist angrily and blamed himself for being discovered. "I planned to come a little earlier. A little bit to help you know how to use it. But now you have to hurry up before you lose your life." He immediately injected it. One tube of solution was inserted into the back of the male lead's neck. The other tube was inserted straight into his chest, and he was very calm, feeling happy that he had completed his task. The young man also took the opportunity to greet him with the words, "Ancestor, you must be successful to help your children and grandchildren. This nano machine is the latest technology, so it won't be too difficult to after using it. It disappears without leaving any trace." Naman feels strange because of the weird name. Because of that, I've been babbling about things I don't understand, and suddenly strange sounds appear in my head. Special numbers and incomprehensible voices. The 7th generation Nano began operating. Since ancient times, people practiced martial arts in China, and Guyan learned martial arts to protect himself. Over time, it developed into moves and then transformed into complex forms. To form Nikam, those who practice martial arts through formulas and secrets to pass on to future generations. Simply put, that is the secret of martial arts. People with outstanding abilities are often called martial artists, gathering people who practice martial arts to become a disciple of a certain martial arts master. The martial arts sect is also divided into two basic systems. The righteous sect and the evil sect are two forces that overcome each other and have a completely different principle from the evil sect or simple method, often referred to as Taoism or demonism. As time passes, those who have surpassed the leader of the demonic cult to become the 2nd generation of heavenly demons and immortals clearly, but he was brought back to rest after a few days. His body had healed and was completely unharmed. I'm still alive, so I obviously died under the sword of the black-clothed men. But Thien Pham raised his hand and wiped away his sweat. However, he realized that this was not sweat but something very sticky, and as soon as he checked it, the guys coughed loudly, constantly emitting a lot of black slimy stuff that was expelled by the cherry. A very unpleasant odor, and covered with liquid, the entire body leaked out from under the layer. At this moment, a voice rang out in its head, repeating the odor over and over again. When he was awake, he quickly got startled and stood up. Glancing around, he recognized the voice, saying it didn't come from outside. Thinking that someone must have transmitted the sound, it's different this time. The system also confirmed that Thien Pham didn't understand anything, so he shouted loudly and asked for their names and found out. The strange thing in my mind is the 7th generation Nano Cloud 9 that is linked and supported inside the fairy brain. Pale because he didn't understand what was going on, the system kept repeating over and over again, causing him to mistake its name for the demon god's face is now tense. The demon god is the entity that the demon religion worships, and only the leader is the one. Was given the ability to connect with the demon god, so he knelt down like he was afraid of something. Generation, when the governor realized that his master had misunderstood everything he said outside, the guardian called a doctor to come and treat him. At first glance, Dr. Bach knew that the young master's injuries were due to assassination. In the past, I have underestimated the assassination, but I didn't expect that yesterday I would be defeated in an instant. Only a blessed ghost could defeat a guardian like you. Thien Kong still survived in their hands. It's truly God's will that someone helped him, but really, he hasn't yet. I found out the whereabouts of your ability, but couldn't guess the whereabouts of their Viet Thuong. So why just think just coming here made Gar Jiang remember yesterday's story. The tragedy before his eyes was truly horrifying. The bodies lying there, on the cold ground, The upper part had disappeared and the parts were scattered everywhere. Only one guy died intact, and that death was caused by it was the young master who placed the sword on his neck. At that time, I discovered the sounds of the young master's labored breathing, lying prostrate in a corner with blood flowing out of the leeches. That person was none other than Thien Pham. Then he died. Bring back the owner. But there was absolutely no trace of external force on his body. There were obvious sword stab wounds on his clothes, but his body was very healthy. The monk said that the leader would definitely not get involved in such a trivial war. Having said that, he felt sorry. I found it very interesting and urged the guardian to quickly lead me to the patient's room. At this time, he was constantly asking about the deaths of the assassins yesterday. If the system denies that it doesn't work on its owner's self-healing, it's because I now understand that it needs to find out appropriate language so that the owner can understand. Nano Ma Chin starts searching through words and terms to Thien Pham is the clearest. The male lead becomes surprised at the sudden change in tone even though he still maintains his mechanical look. I'm trying to send it to the owner. Multiply basic information and instructions for use into the brain so people will accept it. But Thien Pham had to nod without knowing what it really was. The data stream was forcefully loaded inside. So now he couldn't get used to that change. His body couldn't stand it and dug in, emitting many things that are difficult to see and smell. It's a natural reaction after the owner receives the information through the brain and he won't feel it anymore. Pham had a headache and didn't understand what the hell this was. Is it true that people now have tens of thousands of machines in their bodies? 6824 Nano Chin was arranged. He realized that what he was communicating with was not a human or a god, but a machine that wants it out of the body, knows that it is bound to stay until it dies. Until now, he still can't understand what everything was like, from always being murdered by his half-brothers to having Nano Cloud Chi enter his body. If that's the case, then who attached your house to me? Speaking of this, the guard's knock on the door rang out. I don't know how to explain the fact that I'm talking to a computer. I just thought I could understand. So silent mode was turned on. Temporarily, the door opened. The guard and the doctor walked in. Seeing the young master lying on the bed, he immediately ran. I came right away, but then I covered my nose with my hand because of the horrible stench that was coming out. I was so scared because I almost got caught. Even a doctor who has been working for many years has never smelled this smell. His face felt very interested, so immediately asked if the injury had any effect on temporary memory, but it seemed like there was no problem at all. Don't be shy. Reach out your hand so I can feel your pulse. Thien Pham was embarrassed by the fluid leaking out but still held it out for the doctor. After checking his pulse for a while, he widened his eyes in surprise and muttered something that made Guard Jiang worried. Worried that the young master will encounter a serious illness. This is completely the opposite because it is also very good for the young master's entire body. All impurities have been cleansed and the blood is also completely circulating. Perhaps if the person has used some kind of medicinal wine or medicinal herb. The doctor's specific intention is, he now has the perfect body of a martial arts practitioner. Pham understood what the old man said, but he still did not dare to believe the black liquid flowing from his eyes and ears. Coming out from the body are actually these long-trapped impurities. Nano, are you doing the right thing? Before hearing this, the answer was that he had to cancel the mute mode. And now it explains in detail the nanos placed throughout the body can help eliminate internal toxins and transform into the most ideal shape to promote the mobility of blood vessels and muscles. Conjecture that it might be because a nanomachine like you is actually more shocked to hear that from itself. Who are you? Must be a demon god, right? I'm not a demon god, but a machine. Dear Master, let's learn a little about the past. In the current situation, the demon sect now has 6 sects as its foundation. The leader of the demon sect accepted Sao's daughter. This sect is to marry and promise to give birth to sons who, when grown up, will have the status of small sect leaders. And when you reach a certain age, you will be sent to the demon shop. The opening time of the demon shop is 10 years at a time. The main purpose is to find the most capable children. A few years ago, there were a lot of internal battles, and the only reason why the most important thing is the struggle for power through the small sect leaders who returned to the present that Dr. Bach is still taking care of. He observed the terminally ill person and was afraid that this person would discover that there was Nano Chin inside his body. Still silently thinking in my head that someone must have helped you, but I still haven't found any reason to prove it. I also give up on that idea. There's nothing strange about my body. I'll prescribe medicine to replenish Ho Vijiang's vitality. Thank you very much. I was about to say goodbye, but I was rejected. You should stay and take care of the young master. Go outside. The white man is very curious and doesn't understand. Who is the person behind this, because the young owner has been short since he was young and has normal qualities with no comparison for other people. The divine doctor believes that the reason for this change is related to the leader if he helped like that. In a secret way, there was no need for him to admit it anymore. In the end, the old man went to prescribe medicine to help the male lead recover quickly in the room. The male lead breathed a sigh of relief because he was not discovered. He knew that even if this happened, he still needed to thank Protector Jiang Toy. Nano treated me, but if the Guardian hadn't appeared on time, I wouldn't have died, so why think about it? Raised his voice to thank him for yesterday's actions, but he spoke again and reminded the young master to go take a shower quickly. However, the smell of the future is too difficult to smell. Thien Pham's fate was decided immediately after being born with a mother who was a female slave. All that remained was for his life was to survive and not get killed. Nammain didn't talk to Nano for about an hour because it wouldn't have said anything if its owner hadn't asked while he was bathing. But he would have asked briefly and found out that Nano had single-handedly treated him. It's okay until it heals. Besides, it also gives a lot of medical knowledge data that makes the male lead dumbfounded to help him. The owner understood better and immediately reminded him that trying this method directly was the best way to test it again. As soon as the wound appeared, the system started the self-healing feature. Immediately blood stopped flowing out of the palm and the wound healed. Disappeared as if they had never appeared. Small fairies of light swept through as if they were regenerating the above tissues like that. Male protagonist, he was completely frozen. Even though he saw it with his own eyes, he still couldn't believe it. How could he have it? The ability to self-regenerate so quickly is not only that, but all the data downloaded into the brain is also available. Nano's own features did not disappoint its owner. A few basic features did to his body. As he became stronger, it was restructured to help him have a body that was scientifically similar to someone who had practiced martial arts for a long time. In learning, creating yes or no is impossible, but regenerating the body and muscles is not a difficult task. Pham reminds the system to you should use easy-to-understand words because you haven't learned everything yet. After finishing washing, the male lead went to the library. Nano reminded the owner to just look straight at each page of the book, and there are many martial arts secrets inside, even if you read all the mental methods and physical training methods for the rest of your life. Thien Pham took out a book. On the shelf is written about blood energy, although I don't really believe it. But he started turning the pages and moving faster and faster. I didn't notice anything, but my eyes began to concentrate. After scanning, the blood immediately moved to my brain. When the user asked the owner for approval to talk about the word scan, the male lead vaguely understood that it was internal copying. Immediately, he felt as if a bolt of lightning had struck his brain. Many magical animations appeared for now. The feeling of dizziness and headache disappeared as soon as the content was finished moving, and Nano's brain immediately explained a few things. I'm just telling the truth, so there's no need to worry too much. Owner, just think about it, about the information that was transmitted, just like when he received how to use it. Pham thought about blood energy and information that he had never even read before. Immediately, everything appeared in my mind very naturally. It was unbelievable because everything was memorized without having to think about it. I read there was an error in the book that was corrected before it was published. The information about blood vessels was wrong, so I edited it myself. The male lead thought, this is great. You always have to learn and remember it, but with this method, you don't need to waste any more time. Pham smiled happily. Interestingly, there aren't many books in this room, so later on, things will be different when you step into the magic shop. Inside there are all useful martial arts books, and various books plundered from the righteous and evil sects. With this ability we will be stronger and survive faster. Anyone who transfers the scene to the residence of the small cult leaders of the southeastern demon sect becomes a dead devil. Diet blamed his subordinates for plotting to harm Thien Pham, but for nothing. I told you to eliminate one person and now say that the 5 people accompanying him are dead. What do you think? To be able to say that, it seems like there was an intervention from a certain mysterious expert, Sermun Gayat, because of being talked about. His real name was so angry that he was forced to change the way he called him. Because of his low blood, I thought it was there's nothing to worry about, but it seems like that guy has something to hide and needs to distract his guardian. We'll get his hands dirty, but there is no other way. So Theme Mukngoyet will personally assassinate his younger brother. Guardian Jiang always wakes up in the morning, early to practice martial arts and prepare breakfast for the punishment. He couldn't sleep all night because he was so nervous today. It's so important that I'm so stressed that I can't sleep. When I go outside, the sun isn't very bright yet. I couldn't sleep because today was the day I entered the magic tunnel. Quan Ho Vi woke up early to practice martial arts with familiar weapons. That's my dagger. The male lead is very attentively looking at each group of feet and movements of the servants. He thinks about letting go. It's better to learn that person's secret technique than go to the demonic temple. But if that's the case, then the 6 surrounding surveillance sects will if I don't leave it alone when my mother passes away. I won't learn martial arts until I enter the demon temple. I'm thinking about this. Nano spoke up. He wanted to ask the owner if he needed to scan the guard's training movements or not. Thien Pham opened his eyes wide because amazing. You can scan other people's martial arts moves. What's wrong? The idea here is that you can transmit them right away. In my head, right? My system stores a lot of data about martial arts and can transmit it to you right now. Thien Pham doesn't dare to believe what just happened. I heard it, but I didn't want to copy it. But this afternoon I had to go to the temple, so I thought about it a lot. Finally, I made the request. Nanoscan movements. The male protagonist's concentration began to quickly fall on the private guard. Nano began to scan his movements. All the male protagonist needs to do is just look intently, and the sound of data analysis continues. Rang continuously in my head for 30 minutes. Then Nano announced that it had completed scanning all movements without waiting for the owner. Agree, it has moved everything to the brain. The feeling of receiving information is now no longer as uncomfortable as it was yesterday. His eyes lit up with surprise because this was beyond imagination. I couldn't believe this. Why? Maybe Thien Pham rushed out to check on him and didn't forget to bring the sword in the group room. Guard Jiang's sword was definitely something I could try, but if I let it see it, it would look awkward. So I closed the door, because he was afraid of peeping. This was the pose that the person below took before launching the sword move. His eyes lit up as if while receiving all the information. The body's strength also followed and developed. Thien Pham danced so much. The bodyguard's martial arts movements are identical to those of someone who has been in cultivation for 20 years. If you practice every day, your body will become familiar, but this doesn't require a process. So why did Nano's voice ring in the ear asking the owner if he wanted to transfer his muscles to Sang? During that process, the male protagonist moved a little, but he immediately reacted. I don't understand why the strength at that time was gone. Walking all of a sudden my whole body hurts. For what reason? Practicing in a state where the fibers are not fully developed, the muscle corresponded to the martial art he had just performed, so it caused muscle damage. But these words were too different from the male protagonist's language, so he captured Nano. Reload the interface after a while. You will know, the reason is that the owner has not practiced martial arts for a long time, so even if it is transmitted to the brain, the body cannot adapt through simulation. So the owner can completely understand the exercise movements. So it is necessary to transmit information to the muscles. Only then can it function perfectly. Thien Pham realized that if he did so, his body would always suffer a lot of pain over time. The transition will take an hour, so to reduce pain, Nano advises you to be anesthetized while there will be a total of 13 million cases. I fainted during the transition. But I figured if I could just feel it a little bit and see if I couldn't hold on, the game would give me the benefit of the doubt. The Nano command had begun to convert millions of data back into his body, and pain immediately hit him. Came quickly. Thien Pham gritted his teeth and endured it. So Nano started to get dizzy again. Then he trembled and collapsed. The bed stays like that. The process continues slowly while the guardian is still diligently cooking. He senses his talent. My chef is no different from the ladies in the neighborhood. Today, I have to spend a meal to make the most delicious dishes for the guy I like. It's been 5 years since he volunteered. The young master's cook didn't even know how to cook, let alone prepare food. Images appeared in his mind, my wife's photo before her passing into heaven. My mortals must rely on that source. If she is still alive, she will definitely enjoy it. Always take care of the delicious dishes that you cook in that place. Lady Ho. Suddenly the guardian heard a scream again. The male lead's voice hurriedly ran upstairs to check to see what was going on and immediately pushed open the door to the room and called out. But looking ahead, I still didn't see any movement. Even though I didn't know medical techniques, I still felt my pulse and tears very good. In the end, when he looked around and discovered the footprints pinned to the floor, he knew it was you, the young master who created this mark, has been watching me practice for probably 2 years now. Just by looking at it with the naked eye can also learn the sword technique of my 20 years of practice. Why did it take a while for the male protagonist to gradually regain consciousness? Exchange of muscle fibers and muscles necessary for the completed operation was about to scold Nano, but it argued that it was okay. I warned you before, but you still didn't listen. But why am I lying here? Maybe the bodyguard came in or something. Taking the Thon-Don sword, he continued to ask again about the issue of muscle training that had been transformed through 20 years of cultivation. Owner, Teen Pham took a moment to remember his guard's movements and confidently followed all the movements. In the end, the transformation was shown, and I still couldn't believe that the move was the same, but it was powerful and powerful. High precision. Feeling the wind blowing is also great. Continuously smooth sword strokes creating hands that control the weapon is also very skillful. The first move's movements are complete. Now it's time to start practicing. As soon as the second practice dance was performed, it immediately created a shaking sound throughout the Teen Pham room, which was stunned into silence. This is beyond your imagination. The internal work is not very profound and has left footprints like this. Why are you afraid? If the servant, when he saw it, he didn't know what to say. Thinking about it, he called out and asked to be brought in breakfast, so he was in a hurry. Vang tried every way to erase the traces on the floor without waiting for the guard's consent to open the door and enter. Naman quickly took a chair to use. Temporarily cover the consequences because I won't be able to stay at home anymore, so I want to eat here to have some air in my head. Surely he doesn't know that he learned something wrong because today is a special day, so Jano made all the dishes he loves. This Teen Pham knows that this is most likely the last breakfast he will eat at home. Nano warns, if you think too much, you will eat rice. It won't be delicious. I'll just leave it for now. Concentrate on eating quickly. Eat slowly, so you don't choke. Just eat. While he complimented me, he also asked me when my swordsmanship had been overheard like that, Pham. I was so startled that I couldn't say a word. The guardian directly pushed the table away and the traces were exposed right before our eyes. As expected, he knew what unawakening was and also guessed that Master had made a lot of progress in his practice, so that Teen Pham was helpless because he was learning. Eavesdropping on martial arts is a big taboo in martial arts. Now if you do, you just listen quietly. But suddenly the servant, he raised his voice to praise me for learning secretly and being so good. Why is my martial arts nothing compared to the sixth sex? But I will be dedicated. Teach the person who just spoke. He also gave the secret to the sword group's internal technique, which I actually want to teach young master internal mind dharma. But at Edem Dao Quan, there are many people who are good at it. So just practice this first and have the secret in your hand. He couldn't help it. He had sworn that he would never cry after his mother's death. But still, while still a child, Guardian Jiang was like a real father. Not like the heartless father. He is now recalling the close-up image of the deceased's body. My heart aches like a knife. Since then, the male lead has always received care from. It's been 5 years since his mother passed away. So he just gritted his teeth and endured it. But the bodyguard understood his mood, so he just gently packed his things. Before leaving, he reminded the young master that after entering the demon temple, I would not be able to be with him. You should only be allowed to cry today. Pham's eyes were filled with tears. Thank you so much for your trusty servant. After saying this, the guardian also closed the door and dismissed it. The male lead's daughter promised in his heart some sentimental and naughty ways. Don't be hesitant and cowardly anymore. Although mother is no longer there, this is still the place for us to return to in the future. That afternoon, the street near the demonic citadel was bustling with people. The opening ceremony would soon begin. So the teenagers from 14 to 19 years old were all very well gathered. In addition, there were also the presence of many small sects participating. Ho Min Ho Fap of the demon sect was the one who directly tested everyone's abilities. He had a very fierce appearance and a slightly creepy voice, looked down at hundreds of children. But this human still couldn't see where the talent was. The voice mumbled above. Don't your mouths realize that this is the last time you come here? Why do the children keep cheering? Because they know that the person above is one of the 10 strongest people. The theme mod God Sex eyes quickly glanced at the characters who really made progress in this selection of all martial arts. When entering the martial arts hall, all soldiers are given a name tag with a number, so they will have to line up in order. But these little monks are the exception. You are at the top. Number 1 is Thien Mean of Huyen Ma sect. The second child in Sword Demon sect is Thien Kong Young Master. His face is as wrinkled as a monkey. Of the Phut Ma sect, number 3 is the third eye of the moon. Number 4 in the Dot Ma sect is Thien Truong Thien with a confident look on his face, bearing the name. Number 5 is the good celestial of the demon sect and the only female. Number 6 of the Am sect is the angel Liu Lai Ho Min. Scanned everyone, but he couldn't find the person who was looking for the main Numen. Now he's still outside and can't enter because he doesn't have a name tag. The manager had to ask him to wait a bit to check again. Fan knew this was probably a nonsense game of the other 6 sects. Maybe they don't want us to stand in the same line. Anyway, from the beginning, your conflict with that group has been there. Up until now, every time they had a chance, they wanted to kill me. Surely, if they saw my face, they would kill me right away because I had survived until now. Until now, he had to be stronger than anyone else. After a while, he was also placed in the queue to wait for the next name to be called. In front of so many children of the same age, I secretly told myself that I must try. Many of them were talking about it because the junior who had the name number B was perfect. Not knowing martial arts at all, they burst out laughing because they were sure that he would be eliminated first. Lai Ho Min was also at this time saw them out into the sky, truly attracting attention. It's true, the Cardinal's illegitimate son. The horn blew throughout the stadium. People began to stir and hundreds of young girls and boys cheered. The footsteps of the victims. An important object in the heavenly demon sect had appeared. Everyone had to stay silent and hold their breath, just hoping to see their faces once. The children gasped, not only out of curiosity, but also mixed with some sense of fear. The sect leader still calmly walked towards his throne. I followed him. He was a sword manhwa and used the dream. The atmosphere still became too silent. A strange way described the Dharma Protector's observation. Very careful with the approaching dream, he felt that he definitely hated the shabby way of his teammates, not only the bodyguard but also the right guard. The person who still smelled strongly of alcohol, the leader of the Dharma Protector Mala sword, turned down with a hidden look in his eyes that meant he was just giving a gentle reminder to the group. Please be quiet and reduce your mouth. The sect leader is now seated with a cold appearance. In addition to his position as sect leader, Ma Thien Lu Tuyen is still a fifth strongest expert in martial arts. The children looked scared when they saw the heavenly lord, silent, not daring to speak out, feeling the heavy oppression that was Thien Pham's father, the great Dharma Protector, who spoke out his love. I asked everyone to be quiet. After a while of stability, everyone was very attentive. He respectfully reminded the heavenly master of the auspicious hour. Thien Lu Tuyen stood up and walked away from the throne. His eyes were mixed with venom but also very righteous. A deep, melodious voice rang out to welcome the future talents who would later shoulder the great responsibilities of the theocracy. The people below didn't know. I don't know anything about martial arts, but I also know that the leader has a very profound internal skill. So when I hear these words, I feel like I'm about to punch him. This disaster is proof of the absolute power of the Heavenly Master. You should build martial arts here to create strength for yourself. All of the theocracy didn't know what to say other than chanting the slogan Thien Ma, that Thien Long Long, live Naman Chin, still watching and having so many mixed emotions because this is the first time he has seen his biological father since he was born. Then he rolled his eyes and observed the position facing him. In just a moment, father, the son and son have faced each other directly, but it seems that this person only knows how to give birth and does not love the fairy. Glaring upward, he was a little disappointed. Why is it like this for the first time? Anyway, I didn't expect anything from Tu when my mother passed away. You didn't even bother to look at my face. But the Fire King had to speak up. The greetings are over, so now we will start these sentences again, causing everyone below to talk about Lai Ho Min. He started to look irritated and dissatisfied again. He continued to shout loudly at the children to be quiet and go in a neat line. The atmosphere is making a lot of noise right now. I'll explain it simply, so please raise your hands and listen to the demonic Quan. Takes place every 4 years and has 6 stages. Each stage has a passing exam and only one attempt is allowed without a trial. Some children are worried because this is too unreasonable. Do you understand? If you don't pass the exam, that student must immediately leave the demon shop. This is proof that there is only one chance to rise to the top. A neatly dressed young man with a handsome face standing in the front row raised his hand to ask for advice. This is the young master of the sword. Ma Tom Thin Kom Ved, but the Dharma guardian didn't pay attention and only replied, "Who are you to have the right to ask questions?" His face began to grimace as he heard these words. Lai Ho Min immediately explained what you heard. Said that all the benefits of the bloodline of the sect leader and the six sects will be revoked from the moment you set foot in the demon temple. Do you want to be eliminated? Before participating in the battle for power, the brothers and sisters nearby seemed to be very pleased with Tri because of the stupidity of the last cloud. He had to bow down and apologize for his actions. The entire training ground was in Yan'an, so Ho Men continued. Didn't you mean to ask a question? Everyone became curious because they understood that those who stayed in the demon world longer would grow up with strong abilities and receive the first 3 special privileges. The fairy is the medicinal pill. You will be given a Ma Long pill after passing the test. This medicinal pill can only be given to you. Cultivated in shamanism. If anyone can absorb it, they will have the opportunity to receive 20 years of internal technique. Of course, the effectiveness will decrease. Gradually, after repeated uses, it was still a very good privilege. Teen Pham felt very excited because he had no internal power. If he passed the 6 tests, he would have the opportunity to progress very quickly. The second reward will be martial arts secrets and martial arts techniques. If you are a martial arts practitioner, every one of you will know it. What is the importance of these secret books? The monastery has 5 floors. You will be granted the right to enter the higher floors when you pass the exams. Then he seemed happy because anyone who walked all 5 floors would become a martial arts expert. The male lead was the most determined, intending to scan to survive. The protector warns that even if one lives and dies, no one will be able to reach the 5th floor. Wake up from your dream right away. Even though it sounds like this, placing this second grace also makes many people pay attention and use the dream to take a few sips. After all, raising the spirit of death is the ability of the demon sect. Why is it such an offensive action? And then Lai Ho Min also said the final privilege is that you will be given a rank and position that everyone has never heard of before, and everyone will understand. It turns out that only the strong can survive in the demonic pavilion above, and continues to explain that there are many stages. The first stage will be a low-level martial artist. The second stage will be an intermediate level, and the third stage will be an advanced level. The fourth stage will become a great fighter. The master will then advance to the master group, which is stage 5. If martial arts are normal, it will be like that. Famous descendant fighters, famous sects. If you just become a warrior of a demonic sect, it wouldn't be too shameful, right? In the last 100 years, the number of people who have passed the stages can be counted on the fingers of one hand. The demon temple. If they pass with high achievement, they will be recognized. The junior positions will start at the same level and end like an elephant or a dog. Teen Pham now has his own motto is survival to become the strongest. Ho Min ended his speech immediately after. At that time, Phase 1 inspection will be conducted to redivide the groups of martial artists who became shocked when the incident was so sudden. Suddenly, I couldn't think of anyone who would check half of the kids below on the first day, thinking that at least if you only want to study something, you'll have to take the test. But some of you are planning to take the test now. But suddenly it's obvious that because it's too noisy, Ho Min's assistant shouted, if you pass the first stage, you will be removed from the demon temple and will not be eligible to become a low-level fighter. This is just a basic exam at least. To become a martial artist of this school, you must have the ability to do internal attacks. Those who do not have basic internal skills will not survive in the demon temple. When I went to Teen Pham's place, he shook his head in frustration. It wasn't like he was being kicked out. If he had been good, he would have kept a job as a leaf sweeper. Teen Pham understood why the 6 major sects had forced him not to learn internal martial arts, and if he was kicked out, he would stay in prison, at the bottom of society and killed at any time. After hearing this, Teen Mukngaya felt very satisfied that he had done it himself, wanted to kill the male lead, but perhaps it was no longer needed. Then suddenly the presence of an important figure in the theocracy also appeared. A human-looking female appeared, followed by her maids, who came up to pray. She was the fifth leader of the heavenly demon god sect. The old patriarch of the demon sect, Hang Tanu, in terms of power, is greater than the sect master and smaller than the whole man sect leader declared. This is the proctor who will supervise the first test. Elder Fire continues to repeat the warning that if anyone does not pass, they will go out. Even a dog will bite them to death. Well, this year's exam makes everyone feel strange because the proctor never participates in things. As for this one, even the fairy fam saw it. The kids just cover their ears and don't understand anything. This test is an acoustic psalm. If the 5 elders really do it, then you brats won't be able to endure it. So the person who will adjust accordingly shouldn't worry too much. If you don't have internal energy, you can only endure it. With patience, I clearly understand that those who have internal energy can comfortably listen to her play the piano for 30 minutes. The rule of the test is that whoever lasts for a moment without fainting will pass, and with that said, the contestants will pass. The woman began to play the instrument, and the clear sound began to spread throughout the arena. It was clear to anyone who knew how to listen. The kids' faces were all wrinkled, and Fam was also slowly feeling that dozens of teenagers were now lying on the ground covering their ears. After all, I still feel pain in my heart. Indeed, most of the weaker Thok sect have fallen Thien Mut and Gayet. Quite confidently, I pricked up my ears and listened to him, understanding that my status as a descendant of the 6 great sects was like this. How could it be difficult since I was young? I have taken a lot of supplements and eaten delicious seafood, so of course I have a lot of internal energy. This guy is enjoying try because he thinks that Thien Pham has definitely fallen to the ground. But it seems like he won't be happy for much longer because this is just a coincidence. At the beginning of the 5th elder, her fingers began to move faster. This was connected, continuing to increase the frequency of the notes. The sound of the instrument resounds horribly, and many people have a heart attack. To New Calm didn't pay attention to anyone else. She couldn't understand why Thien Pham still stood still like Ban Thach himself. I also don't understand why I couldn't feel any sound in the arena. Half of the contestants were lying on the ground as I looked. After a while, he realized that those people had all suffered internal injuries. Nano saw that the owner was too friendly and immediately explained that it was okay. Detection of damaging sounds should activate more detailed emergency defenses than temporarily deactivate sound receptors to prevent impact. Despite the external contact, the male lead can still contact it through the thoughts inside his brain. Gu's eyes, the elder just kept staring at Thien Pham. He felt too scared and thought about asking Nano for help. If so, then I will blindfold the owner's eyes. Hang Tanu's fingers are now frantically playing the piano, and the tempo has also increased so much that Lai Min-ho standing next to him, I could feel that he knew that the Yin Gong internal force was stronger than before. For those who had internal Gong for less than 20 years, it would be very difficult to endure. The reason is indeed because of the male lead. Is it possible that the rumor of not having internal strength is completely false? He has no conscience whatsoever. This is the first such exciting period since I took on the role of leading the demon. Dao Quan, the remaining contestants were not as lucky as him. They all rolled around on human land and suffered ear injuries. The small homeowners of the Lup Mon sect were bleeding continuously, and they were still very upset. I understand why the 5 elders are like that. Then the third Eigengayat had to turn his eyes towards his junior brother, continued to look behind, causing everyone to pay attention to the others out of curiosity, but not daring to move because of them. I knew that if I didn't concentrate while doing the work, I would immediately fall into a ghost, but because it was too difficult to understand, I looked back for a while. The group couldn't understand why a person with no internal energy could be so alert. Moon Goyet gritted her teeth and agreed. While expressing his jealousy, the boy assured that Thien Pham certainly had internal power in his body, which he himself knew. If I'm not mistaken, the 5 elders and the kids above are angry because they're looking at me. Nano has opened the system panel for easier observation. Analysis. The movements of the facial muscles, confusion, surprise, anger, and indignation were those of the 5 elders. Although they could not be heard, but he still knew that she had bad intentions, so he would have understood if he had passed the first stage easily. If too much, it will cause suspicion. Nano, can you cause internal damage? Internal damage means the 6 internal organs are damaged. Is it bad? His intention now is that when the performance ends, He must cause internal injuries to his body and cause him to vomit blood. Tanu is very urgent. Truong sought me because the exam was about to end. She was mad because the male lead had no internal skills but was still as strong as her. Nothing happened. The corner of my mouth was bitten tightly because I was too helpless. My self-esteem could not tolerate me. I will use half of my strength to see how much you can endure. The melody suddenly changed, causing Lai Ho Min to pay attention. He knew the fifth leader. What is he thinking? But it's dangerous. Maybe now she has forgotten the purpose of why she is here. Thean, although he had internal strength, his body was about to no longer be able to bear it. So Elder Fire had to shout loudly to remind him. The 5 elders immediately realized that the problem was very serious, and the fingers stopped. Most of the martial artists couldn't stand it, so they knelt down from exhaustion and asked Tanu to play a little longer. Maybe the kids below are all enjoying the morning sun and dreaming about it, secretly thinking about taking the position of elder and then taking action. That's really despicable. The supervisor now doesn't know where to hide her face because she's so embarrassed. She angrily thinks that Thien Pham had reneged on the commitment of the 6 great sects to not learn the internal arts. At this time, he began to slowly feel the pain. My whole body was shaking because of the discomfort. My face was red pale because I couldn't stand it and was blind. Spitting out a bunch of blood, Lai Ho Min still looked like he was nothing but very curious. And Hang Tanu always showed a very serious expression, surprise. The young masters were also startled and turned down, but they didn't understand the strange moon's name. What the hell was going on? I see. Why did he vomit so much blood? He didn't die. Nano did exactly what his master told him to do. Now my internal organs are damaged and I'm trying to save as much blood as possible. You bastard, you almost killed me. Thien Pham continued to vomit more blood than Lai Ho Min, so Phi rushed to the scene to check on him. I was very afraid that if the patriarch's son died, all my mistakes would be recognized. As soon as he arrived, he immediately asked. Nano was planning to recover as quickly as possible, but he had to stop even his body from losing blood. It was too much, so he collapsed on the ground. Pham was waiting for the right moment before forcing Nano to act as a Dharma protector and start looking for him. He checked his pulse to see how good his internal strength was, and as soon as he found it, he became completely surprised. There is no trace of internal energy. This means that the male protagonist endured the entire wave through his will and body. Unexpectedly, even though you have no internal strength, you can use your strength to overcome the first stage. Finished. Thien Pham paid for his role. Several guardians were present immediately after Lai Ho Min signaled him, asked to take the male lead to Wai Quan and Dao Quan to rest. His eyes were still mysteriously examining him at this time. Then Nano just started doing his job, so Anu also quietly and carefully observed the guy from afar. Unable to endure the secret sect of Yin Gong and suffering serious internal injuries, he returned to his seat as Lai Min Ho gently reminded him, remember, his injury is very serious. 5th Elder. She was a bit startled and acted as if she was innocent and had nothing to do with it. He asserted that he was just a little closer to becoming a ghost. Could it be that Tutuv had such low internal strength? The words immediately made her scared. I imparted internal technique to clear the meridians, but completely unable to see the internal force, the 5 elders shouted decisively. No one can endure without internal energy. Without it, a normal person will faint or go home to take care of the consequences. The Fire Elder will still be fierce, saying that Thien Pham only uses his body's health to fight with his whole body's strength is so scary. He had planned to accept him as his disciple, but because his blood wasn't pure, he gave up. The Elder's dream is still the same. He took a big gulp of wine and seemed to enjoy it, using his strength to endure it. This is so interesting. It's not like you care about that kid. Find a corner to finish your drink. If you want to hear more, Lai Min Ho chases you away. Go now, because I don't want to know someone who is an alcoholic. I don't want to drink, but I want to drink as punishment. Say you're really good at talking with your foul mouth. On that day, if you hadn't become a great Dharma protector, you would have been trampled on a long time ago. As soon as he finished this sentence, he immediately radiated a very formidable force below the stands that could easily be felt by 6 small children. The homeowners were all scared because they knew that the aura was too strong. They were very excited because it was the first time they experienced the power of the Guardians. Lai Min Ho's strength had also kicked in, and he felt like things weren't going to be fun anymore. So he quickly picked up the bottle of wine. He left immediately. When he saw the contestants below, he felt discouraged because they were too weak in their minds and hearts. Remembering what had just happened, the image of Thien Pham's pain was always stuck deep inside. Perhaps he had taken feeling proud of this elder. A moment later, the others took the male lead to the hospital for treatment because it was too urgent. In a hurry, he kicked open the door, causing Bok Trong Min to feel a bit confused, and the people outside called out to a group of people to help. Notifying that there was a patient, he immediately ran to open the door because it was too sudden for someone to come to the hospital. I can count on the fingers of one hand the first day I came to work and there were already patients. Indeed, Quan is really great. Don't stand here anymore. Quickly take him inside. After a while of checking, Bok Trong Min seemed very uncomfortable. After all, how difficult could it be that this person ended up in such a dangerous situation? I'm guessing that he was stabbed or slashed. At that point, he shook his head and said that he had internal injuries because he didn't have internal energy, so he couldn't transmit internal energy. The decree asked us to ask you to consider that 10 years have passed since Trong Min became a disciple of the famous physician. I have never seen a patient with internal injuries vomiting so much blood. Now this martial artist belongs to you, so we have to return to the training ground here. But one person, out of curiosity, I stopped and wanted to see the wind. The other one reminded me that I was so overwhelmed with work that I was still standing there. Again, it seems like that guy's face is going to be better than when I saw it just now. Now is the time for the doctor to come forward. He is very focused on finding the root cause of the problem. Thien Pham has been awake for a long time without realizing it. I'll almost ask Nano to treat me before going to the medical clinic. I'm still in a lot of pain, but I'll have to endure it for you by the time I finish taking my pulse. My pulse was beating abnormally fast and my internal injuries were quite serious. Anyway, it would be weird if he did bite. Even if my tongue is bleeding, it won't be able to bleed that much. First, I'll have to do acupuncture to see if it's better. Bok Trong Min walked to the table to get some needles. Someone suddenly rushed in, but this way made him startled. So it turns out that Sumong ran from the training ground to come here. The little disciple of the god doctor is also here. I'm sure you won't be injured if you come to the medical shop if you have any urgent business with this strength, right? His head went crazy, causing Trong Min to lower his voice. Apologize. He knows he shouldn't mumble anymore because there's no point in offending. The dreamer's body didn't pay attention anymore and just looked at the hospital bed. Although Pham Thien closed his eyes, he knew exactly who that person was. I don't understand why I came here. Could it be that he discovered that I was pretending? He came straight to my face and spread out his eyes. There was a lot of alcohol smell, and he gently threatened that you were pretending to be asleep, right? But the male lead wasn't stupid enough to come up seeing that he couldn't speak. He immediately used a trick to wake him up. The doctor next to him looked surprised. No need to touch him. What kind of protection is so terrible? Perhaps he is planning to use his internal energy to heal me. Your body is now healed. You're fixed, so you can't move. Don't pretend anymore. If you keep sleeping, I'll hit your face. Finally, then Pham Thien also had to open his eyes to see the Dharma protector slap him in the face as a little drunkard. Why does he know how to use Dream smiled sinisterly to reveal his tarnished appearance because of wine and meat. He laughed loudly and on Nam Chin. What an idiot. Instead of being shocked when you saw this Dharma protector, you acted boldly like that. How can an expert like me just need to? You could tell if you're sleeping or not by hearing your breathing. These words made him feel very surprised. Nano had to draw many examples of the average healthy person's breathing rate being between 12 and 20 beats per minute. I haven't breathed for 8 beats, so it's not natural. These days, the kids all look like they don't have any children. No matter how serious you are, it's not like he found out that I was acting at the studio, but Su Dream kept saying some unpleasant words to the children today who only know how to sit cool and enjoy themselves and run away if there is any difficulty. He'd also pointed at Pham Thien's face and affirmed that he was a very capable person. Bok Trong Min spoke up to remind him not to affect the patient's health in a bad condition like this. As soon as he finished speaking, the male lead spontaneously vomited blood, illustrating that both of them were a bit confused because they thought that the sentence when he said it was true. His face from losing a lot of blood was paler than a banana leaf, so the dream was immediately resolved. The male lead lay down flat on the bed and then continued to laugh happily at the young man. I will accept you as a disciple. Bak Trong Min's two pupils opened wide. Pham Thien also had the same expression after hearing this. Si Sumam lost a bit of confidence, so he had to take a few sips of wine to warm up his body. He then repeated what I just said. The Dharma protector will accept you as a disciple. Doesn't he know who I am? If you accept me as your brother, you will be from the 6 continents. The sect will protest noisily that our Xelo accepts no disciples, and no one can do anything. And whether we have you or not, fighting each other as usual. Although this is a very good opportunity, he is still concerned, afraid of falling into the trap of the bad guy. Bak Trong Min is an outsider, but he also understands a few things. He knows that in front of his eyes, the 7 concubines, the power struggle of the young cult leaders, is very difficult. Go but fall. That much blood is too much. Thien Pham raised his voice 50 half want, half no, making the dreamer feel like asking children to be his disciples to teach martial arts. This kid always has too many people, but his life is always the same. So why did he just have to bow down and be humble? If that's the case, then I'll give you a suggestion. The proposal was very interesting. As soon as he said that, he pulled something out of his shirt and something hit the bed. So I don't understand. Whatever it is, the dreamer only said a few sentences that it would be very necessary to preserve one's life in the demon shop. You don't seem to be worried about anything. Being left behind, isn't it? The first stage test can be endured, but passing the second stage is not that simple. If you want to become a person with profound martial arts, must think about surpassing others, even if it's just one step. You planned from the very beginning to endure in the medical clinic for 13 days. If I didn't have any other intentions, while I was lying here, other people would have improved 100 times. This is really impossible. Deny it, but if you don't want to be suspected, you have to stay here for a while. Do you know why the red-haired guy was brought here for treatment? Pham Thien, it's stupid to understand that if the left guard is not internally injured, then it wouldn't be here. There would be people outside with internal injuries too. Don't you think it's strange that you're the only one being treated here? If you're a martial arts practitioner, you can commit suicide. Healing, but with Wai Kwan's treatment and medicinal herbs, they can recover faster. They have internal energy, so they can also use their own merit to heal. Hearing these words, he understood that he was alone here because he couldn't heal himself. Seeing the child's thinking about it, then dreaming happily, he must have understood it right. He had to use his final move. He continued emphasizing the fact that it is impossible to apply merit. If so, can the wound be healed in a short time? Mr. and Mrs. Pham Thien realized that it was very likely that future exams would always require internal energy, which I heard said that those who pass the test in the first part, you can get the Ma Lam pill, and of course you are free to enter the first floor of the demonic temple. After practicing listening to these words, the dreamer laughed again. Shooting all the spring rain, he said bad things about Lai Men Ho, who is an expert at swallowing. The magician's secret advice is not a place where you can freely use it. Through each stage, you can only use once. That place is not easy to visit. It is guarded more closely than the patriarch's study. Seeing his dazed expression, Ho Fat became interested. He added that the time he spent there was only 1 hour. However, the higher you go, the longer your stay inside will be. You are not allowed to bring pen and paper inside. The only way is to learn by heart, so to speak. This is too useful for mortals. Nano's ability means that in just an hour it can copy all of the hundreds of secrets to using dreams to warn a kid. If you don't know internal martial arts, how can you stay in the demon temple for 4 years with just your own strength? I understand before joining. Everyone can learn martial arts from the house should have had a foundation in advance. Indeed, the psychological blow to this starting point of Ho Fat Protector was very strategic. Looking at the piece of paper next to me, the piece of paper placed next to my pillow, could it be that it's the inner strength and heart method? It's really you. Observe it really, that is my own Thien Tam Dharma. Now your mind is too confused, even if one person I also have to attract my side because of the devilish promise with Luk Datmon sect that I cannot learn martial arts. It was indeed a very good opportunity. After that, the male lead could barely stand up with a pale face and walk down to the bed, curiously looking at Thien Pham. With a heavy look on my face, I bowed to the Dharma Protector as my master. Please accept me as a disciple when I hear these words." Then he just inexplicably smirked and asked the master to accept more of the disciple's dress and use it again. He used magic to force him to stand up. His weak body was lifted easily so no one was allowed to offend him. The blood of the celestial family, except the sect leader, disciple, because today is a bit weak, so use the dream. Temporarily let the male lead learn it by heart. The previous dictum is still standing. Why are you staying there so crowded? Take care of my disciples, Trong Min said. He was angry because his behavior was so rude. Why did he become so excited? He turned back to ask about his love. The patient's health picture is due to internal injuries, and your face is blue and your body can't move. I'll go prepare the needle. No matter how painful it is, you have to endure it. Now the room is alone. The male lead silently thanks God. He has brought Nano and the Dharma protector to his side since childhood.